So they be calling you a radical. So I want to talk about the flu game and the war. War, what's it good for? Absolutely nothing. So I was at that game. I was at the flu game. I scalped a ticket. I sat right across from him when he dropped it. I'd never missed a Jazz playoff game in the history of the Jazz until 2000. I was done. I remember when the Spurs come down the center of the lane and just, whoo, ripped it on Stockton. I'm like, not that I knew that the Jazz sucked anymore. The culture of the NBA had completely changed. And so I want to talk about, I was at the flu game. You know, that's the shot game. That's Bobby Sloan's ticket. Because mine's behind that. As I said, you know, right by her. That's a long, complicated story, Jerry Sloan. But we go from the flu game to the flu game. Stockton. Remember at the game when he dropped that shot? Jordan had waited the entire series, and Sloan was so predictable, he refused. He didn't like Chris Morris. Chris Morris was shutting down Jordan, shutting down. If he'd had, instead of Russell, if he'd had Morris on him, the Jazz wouldn't have a banner. Or Phil Johnson would have been coaching. So, but Phil Johnson sat there in waiting for decades. Has ruined his whole career. Maybe the greatest coach in Weber State history. That's saying a lot, Ron Baglin. So, he doubles back all the way like this. Jordan. He knew Malone was they were going to go to Malone on the post. And he stole the ball from Malone. I was sitting with some guys paid $7,000 a ticket. I scalped that ticket. You see face value on that ticket? I mean, that's right there. Right across from where Jordan hit it. $65? What's that ticket now? You know, got a party like it's 1998. And so, I'm like, this game's over. What do you mean? I says, I can guarantee everybody in the world knows Jordan's going to get the ball. And Sloan's going to put Russell on him. And he ain't going to miss. It's Michael Jordan. I mean, the greatest clutch athlete in history, Joe Montana. So, and I says, Sloan will run the exact identical play he always runs at the end of the game. If there's any time left, he'll go to Stockton. Stockton will shoot a three and he'll miss. He made one in his playoff career. Bill Walton, who I used to live by Bill Walton. I see Bill all the time. I sat at San Diego 250 with him. So let's read some war stories. Here we go again. How did this happen from 1997, 98 to 99? How did that happen to Tsar Putin? What an evolution. Wars are trade shows for arms dealers. The Post-Ignorance Project. I ain't gonna quit you. No, I ain't gonna quit you. The NBA went from that to that. Do you know about this game? Donahue went to prison. So Clouky last night said one of the greatest lines in history. I'm doing the Weber State College. Says, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs did more in 13 seconds than the Cowboys have done in 4 quarters. And I changed it a little bit. I'm going to change it a little bit. Sorry, Clouky, but I love it. Patrick Mahomes done more in 13 seconds than the Dallas Cowboys have done in 26 years, but they're the most valuable franchise. They haven't won anything since let's party like it's 96. This is when it flipped. You know about that game, Game 6? Donahue went to prison for fixing that game. Yeah, look it up. He got busted gambling, whatever, so he turned evidence on David Stern. He turned evidence on the NBA. Says there's a phone. They call in, the referees. You remember that game? Vlade Divac, Mike Bibby. You know how good that team was? There was a Pollard from here. That team was going to win it all. The Kings. Was your crown, LeBron James, from Hardhats to Crowns. So, I think the calls were like 19-0. I mean, it was obscene. They fixed the game. Lakers went on one. The rest is history. Kobe Bryant was on the floor that day. You know, tragically, God, has that been 2 years? Yeah. Coming up tomorrow, right, Kobe? Wow, can you believe that? Wow. So, That's what happened. The NBA is a freaking joke. I can't stand it. Back then, we loved it. You know, in the 90s, the winningest franchise in all sports in the 1990s were the Utah Jazz. How come they never won anything? I just told you why. So, Stockton refuses to put his mask on. Okay, I get it. At Weber State, I'm at every game. You know, I used to do the play-by-play for you. We don't require masks. I'm sure the Jazz don't require masks. But, you know, we suggest it and recommend it, and we try to have people use logic. You know, we've been ahead of the curve. Weber State was the only thing that, well, this is before they went corrupt. They're so corrupt, it's unbelievable. That, you know, if you have a cold, stay home. You know, people have said that for years, you know. Hello, a little logic. You know, but when Stockton makes a statement that athletes are dropping dead from the vax, show me. Now, I got one vax. I got the Johnson & Johnson. Now, you know I can't talk about what my hypothesis of the origin of this nightmare flu. And I want to say this to everyone who's lost a loved one. Kid come up to me and I had my mask off and I was talking in the airport. And he says, hey, would you please put your mask on because my grandfather had, yeah, I'm sorry, my bad. You know, I says, I'm really sorry about your grandfather. It's heartbreaking. This disease has killed a lot of special people, a lot of amazing people. Oh, they were just bullshit, you know. Since one's 70 old, you know. It's heartbreaking. So my heart goes out to everybody who's died of this incredible. So I got vaxxed. I was one of the first one to get vaccinated. And the only reason I did it, because I don't listen to the radio goo-goo, gaga, the dogma, the freaks. I'm sure not listening to fucking John Stockton. You know, I knew John Stockton from when I coached, whatever. He was a dick. Everybody around here knows he was a dick. Everybody loved Malone. Of course, I got some pretty risque stories about Karl Malone and these girls that were, well, legal age. I don't remember. I can't talk about this because, you know, remember when the Portland Trailblazers with the young girls and Utah changed the consent age? Well, anyway, I won't talk about that. I don't want to get in trouble. But it's disturbing. It's really disturbing what the NBA and this crownism, this heroism, and this warism, and this militarism. Let's party like it's 1990. Military budget increases, billionaire basketball players. I mean, I know Lillard personally. Don't get me going about him. You know, he used to be a really great dude, but when he was humble. But how could you not change with all that money? You know, Kobe Bryant's dad, Jelly Bean, had to teach school to make ends meet. You know, these athletes weren't rich. The average professional athlete in the United States in 1975 made 3 times the average working class American. Now it's, whoop, celebrityism, heroism, we love. So John Stockton running his fucking mouth. I don't think John Stockton was ever right, and he was one dirty fuck. You think Karl Malone was dirty? Oh, he was. Karl Malone put that knee out. Ask Isaiah Thomas. Ask Rick Mahorn. Ask so many of these guys. But ask lots of players. Ask freaking Pippen. Ask freaking Jordan. Oh, John Stockton was one of the dirtiest players. He'd go down on that block and set a freaking pick. Tough. Frank Ledden used to call him the Bulldog. He'd set that pick and he would boom right into you. I mean,